Hey you guys, I'm out picking elderflowers right now. Just wanted to say as an intro to this video that I hope you enjoy it. It's a video that's been a long time coming if you've been wondering where it was all leading with me collecting all of these colours. Oh, there's so much pollen out here. Anyway, I wanted to say thank you so much for 500 subscribers. That's an insane quantity of people. I never thought that we would make it this far. All of the lovely comments people leave on the videos, and I just wanted to say that it's really motivating. You guys really keep me going, and yeah, let's keep going and see where this takes us, shall we? But yeah, I hope you enjoyed today's video. It's a special one for me, and yeah, just a special thank you. Good morning, everybody. Hello. So, I should put a plaster on that. Alright, it's nice and early here today. I was trying to get ahead of the construction workers outside my house. Unfortunately, they appear to be also up bright and early. However, I don't think it will be too big of a deal. Hopefully I can edit out the worst of the crashing. For this very special video, I want to start out with showing you in my last art haul video, which was only a few weeks ago, and I don't want to be particularly an art haul YouTube channel, but since I found this deal on these Schmincke watercolors, it has been hard to resist, and I wasn't sure when I was going to get back. So when I was back there in that city last week, I decided I would treat myself to a few more because why not, right? And so I'll show you those colors I have, and then we can have some exciting times together, because I also treated myself to this Mijello Fusion watercolor palette, and I plan to fill this with all of my favorite colors to like put together my sort of ultimate palette, which I'm super excited about. But first, as promised, I have some paper here, obviously, and I have a paper bag, once again. And allow me to show you what I bought. Okay, this looks like a lot of tubes, okay? This was two different trips. I don't have a problem, I promise. I can stop whenever I want. Okay, so let me just gradually organize these. My camera would focus, that would be amazing, wouldn't it? Okay, so these are the latest of my collection. So two of these two, the Perylene Violet and the Transparent Orange, were just bigger versions of colors I have already swatched, actually. So you can see those in another video, though spoiler, they do make it into my perfect quote-unquote palette, so you'll see them later. And so these were the colors I picked. And there was some reasoning to this and my choices, but I guess I will discuss that with you as I swatch them. For your information, I have actually been trying to work better on the color balance in my videos, but turns out that that's quite hard, and I'm not very technically experienced when it comes to video editing and videography. So yeah, your patience is appreciated on that one. So first up, I have pure yellow. I remember this from my Schmincke Horadam dot card. I wanted a yellow that was not a Nicolazo yellow, basically, because those tend to be my favorites. And this is PY154, which I believe is a benzimidazzolone yellow. I seem to love benzimidazzolone colors. The only benzimidazzolone color that I found that I did not love, they're always so explosive, was the benzimidazzolone orange, PO64, I want to say. I'm gonna have to be careful not to wash my brush in my drinking water. It's super hot at the moment, but I am one of those people who absolutely loves the hot weather, so you won't catch me complaining. Winter is more than long enough here in Western Europe. But this is a really truly beautiful pure yellow. You know, it's not too warm, not too cool. and it's incredibly transparent. So I feel like it's the perfect sort of limited palette yellow. I guess it reminds me a little bit of the Hansa Yellow Medium, maybe a little bit cooler. I didn't check how many colors I'm gonna have to label. I'm gonna have to fit on this page. So yeah, and it washes out to this beautiful primrose yellow. This would be perfect for daffodils. Absolutely love that. I'm using a different brush today. I'm using this Master Touch Aquamarine. I think this is like a synthetic brush. And I think they're really mostly intended for gouache and stuff, but I got them because they came in a big pack from Jackson's, were reasonably priced. And next up we have Geranium Red, PR242. Is that a naphtha red? It might be a naphtha red. Would have to check. But I got this one because the quinacridone red light, I was between this one and the quinacridone red light before. And the quinacridone red light is just a little bit pink for me. And I was looking for a warmer red. And I think this one might be as close as a perfect warm red as I may have found. It's just stunning. Absolutely amazing. Schmincke do such a good job on watercolors. I love my, I love my Roman Szmal watercolors. And believe it or not, there will be Roman Szmal watercolors also included in my ultimate palette, but more about that later. But there's just something about the truly just such quality to the Schmincke watercolors that I absolutely love. So this Geranium Red is very, very warm in the mass tone. And then it washes out to this, well, I mean, it literally looks like a geranium. I love red geraniums. They're so beautiful. My dad prefers the sort of salmon pink colour of geraniums. I'm much more of a vermilion geranium kind of person. If you have strong geranium opinions, then let me know in the comments. Oh man, just another day at the circus, huh? And next up we have Perylene Maroon and Dark Red, PR 179. So I have the Bordeaux colour from Schmincke, and I love that, but it's more of a true red, and this is more of a, well, I don't want to say maroon, but it is more of a maroon. It's more of a, it's a less saturated red colour. And I love Perylene colours, and I do find that Schmincke's Perylene colours have the most intensity out of a lot of the Perylene colours I've tried, and also, yeah, the saturation is really, really good. Perylene colours can be a little on the dull side, and they can also have a drying shift is another problem with Perylene colours. But as you can see, this is like truly a wine red. Absolutely amazing. We'll see how it dries. So you'll see if there's a drying shift. But right out of the tube, absolutely amazing. Somebody asked me if I knew of a paint that was truly a Bordeaux color, and I think this might be quite close. The color is a little bit cooler than it is on my screen right now. But I absolutely love Perylene Maroon. So I decided I would buy Perylene Maroon because when it comes to Perylene colours, I think that Schmincke really knocks it out of the park. And I wanted to include this in my palette. Next up, we have Sepia Brown Reddish. I must admit, I first heard about this from Aliona Creates, PR242. So that's the same as the Geranium Red, PR242. PBR7, which is a, well, it's a brown iron oxide, could be anything, burnt umber, burnt sienna, and PBK9, which may be lamp black. But I tend to avoid earth tones, but I wanted to include a dark brown because most of the browns I use right now are on the warm side. I know this is also reddish, don't. I try to make it make sense. But I did want a deeper brown colour, so I decided to pick up a sepia colour, which I'm excited to include. Oh, stuck closed. This one might have had some binder issue. Yep. I did try to mix these up with a toothpick, beforehand. But as people who know watercolour know, they have a mind of their own, especially in those tubes. So as you can see these colours lining up over here. I mean, I know they're not in focus, but it doesn't matter. Believe me, they're just puddles. And this is a really, really beautiful deep brown. I absolutely love this. I think it will mix really wonderful deep tones with other blues. Will be great for toning down green mixes. And also obviously great for natural subjects. But I think that this is something that was missing from my palette previously. So I'm glad to have it now. Might have worked it out. Need to turn the exposure up, not the warmth. Gotcha. And then secondarily, I also bought 3 cooler colors. So I bought the cobalt green turquoise, the cobalt turquoise, and the ultramarine finest. Now, I wouldn't say that I needed these, but especially with the cobalt colors, these are series 4 colors, super expensive. So when you find a 30% off deal on a cobalt color in a Lucky Dip box, are you going to turn it down? I'm not. I'm going to turn this around though. Excuse my messy palette. Apparently I'm one of those people. I saw somebody had posted a poll on YouTube the other day saying, is your palette messy or clean? And I was like, man, I wish I could say that it was clean. I'm not a particularly, I'd love to be a tidy person, but unfortunately, I just don't think it's in my nature. If you should have seen the amount of crap I had to move to get to my kitchen table to film this morning. But anyway, this is the cobalt green turquoise, which is, ooh, it's an old tube, it's in a different spot. PB36, so that's a pigment that's quite often used for cerulean blue or cobalt blue. Trying to focus, there you go. And somebody asked me also for a little bit more information about these pigment codes. So these are very helpful for comparison between paints and between brands. And basically it's a color index number, which is a universal database of pigments. And the idea is that the P stands for pigment and B stands for blue. So PV is pigment violet, PR is pigment red. And then 36 is just the number so that you can look up which blue pigment it's using, basically. So if anybody was curious about that, there's a little reminder. I know it sometimes seems like some kind of secret code, but yeah, you can look it up. I think it's there's a good database at, I believe the website is called artistcreation.com. And really, I hate to say it, but that database is basically what got me into watercolor. You know, as a scientist, when there's information to be unraveled about different ways to classify things, I tend to be drawn to that. Same reason I edit Wikipedia. I know, I'm a lost cause. But I love this cobalt turquoise anyway, because so the Roman Szmal cobalt turquoise is lovely, but it's a lot more muted than this. This is a very bright cobalt turquoise green, but not, obviously it's not super bright, but it's definitely more saturated than the Roman Szmal one, and I really love this sort of very fine granulation you get. I'll give you a close-up at the end of the swatching session anyway. And then this cobalt turquoise, which is greener than it shows on camera, but yeah, anyway, never mind. A PG 50, pigment green 50. So this is a common pigment used for cobalt turquoise. Another common one is PB 28, which is also a cobalt blue. And I feel like every time I get a small selection of watercolors, I think to myself like, oh, that's a lovely limited palette. Like just looking at these together right now, I'm thinking like, oh, those are lovely together. Maybe just I just think all colors are lovely, but that's not a problem. Gives me an excuse to collect more. And as you can see, compared to this one, It's a little bit bluer and, believe it or not, a little bit brighter than it appears on screen right now. Turquoises are famously hard to capture on camera. I'll try and remember to put a photo in maybe of these colours, and then you can really see what they look like. But yeah, this is really a stunning cobalt turquoise. It's not a turquoise blue or a turquoise green. It's just a turquoise, and I love it. I know that turquoise is a fan favorite color amongst human beings. Oh, it's a bit loud. So anyway, I never want to run out of a colour like this because you cannot mix this colour. You just can't. So I decided I wanted the big tube. And then lastly, Ultramarine Finest PB29, everyone's classic ultramarine pigment. Apparently this one is super finely milled, so it doesn't have quite as much granulation as maybe a French ultramarine. I think it's also a little bit greener than a French ultramarine. And it's exploding out of the tube. Very excited to be out in the world. Oh, if you see this plaster on my thumb, by the way, Band-Aid, for those of you in the US, it's nothing serious. I went kayaking on Saturday, which was 3 days ago now, and yeah, it was, I got a blister on my thumb, so war wounds, am I right? Did have a good time though. It was really nice. The perfect weekend to be outdoors. So nice that summer is here. I haven't been kayaking in maybe 10 years, but I really was surprised how much I liked it. And yeah, my boyfriend was there too, and he liked it too. Maybe we'll become one of those obnoxious couples that goes kayaking at the weekends. So this is the Ultramarine Finest, and I would say it's on the cooler side for an ultramarine. Cooler? Yes, cooler side for an ultramarine. However, I do like it a lot, and I do think that having a non-granulating ultramarine option is good. Having an ultramarine option in a tube is good because I currently only have pans. So I'll let these dry and give you a quick close-up, but I hope that you approve of my selection. I really was so happy to find these cobalt colours for such a good deal. Every artist's dream, that one. Anyway, they should dry nice and quickly because it's so warm in here, and then I'll be right back. And now for the part that I'm really excited about. It's time. So I was umming and ahhing about finding a palette which could hold both tube paints and pans for a really long time. I know that Irit over at Irit Landgraf's YouTube channel, she has her perfect palette which had wells around the edge and then also a rack to hold pans in the middle. Sadly, these seem to be no longer available or only available infrequently from Amazon US. However, I was looking at these Mijello Fusion palettes, which a lot of people have. I have the pink one. I'd rather have had the blue, but here we are. So Mijello is a Korean art supply brand. And as you can see, comes like this, has a nice little clip on the front so it's airtight. And it has these wells around the edge and then spaces in the middle. And I thought, surely you can fit pans there. You know, I'm not too worried about using this for mixing. I'd rather mix on porcelain. But just to store tubes and pans, I wanted a solution. And I asked some friends who have these palettes, I said, can you fit pans in the middle? And they said, yes, you can. And so I thought, wow, well, these are very affordable palettes. They're very available to me. So why not? So I went ahead and bought one. And then I got to planning. And so initially, this is my mad science right here. I made a list of all the colours that I wanted to have in my palette or would consider having. And I made like a little map of where they might go. So yeah, this was me not having access to my paints at the time, just thinking about it and seeing how I might lay them out. And then I've been laying them out with my swatch cards. So these are my swatch cards I make for all of my paints. They're just bits of cotton watercolor paper, which I just paint on. So I think that I think I can fit 24 pans, 12 and 12 in each of these wells, I guess. And then there's 18 around the outside. So I knew I had up to 42, 42 paints. And so I will just briefly lay out the colours that I've chosen so far. I have left some holes that could be potentially filled later with other colours that as they come to me, because I know that things are not permanent. But when things are in a well, it's kind of hard to move them around, so I thought better be sure first. So I'll start from the browns. So I'm just including one brown tube. Hang on, move this all over. Yeah. Sepia brown reddish, the one that we literally just swatched. And then the Schmincke Perylene green. So all of my tubes except for one, I believe, are Schmincke. And then the chrome oxide green fiery. I've written it in German, don't know why. Happens sometimes. Bright chrome oxide green, which is the Viridian with the phthalo green mixture, which I like. Put that in the corner. And then the cobalt green turquoise that we just swatched. This is a maybe. I may or may not include the, oh my gosh, focus, come on. Aha, there we go, that was the problem. So I may or may not include the Schmincke Helio turquoise, which is a phthalo turquoise. But there is a potential slot for that. Delft blue, absolutely a must-have, my favourite Indian Throne blue. Just move all of these up a little. Winsor & Newton's Smalt, which is an ultramarine violet, but very, very blue. I absolutely love this colour. The Schmincke violet is a dioxazine violet. It's my favourite dioxazine violet, but I don't know if it's quite going to fit yet, so it can go on the pile with the phthalo turquoise. Perylene violet, absolutely a must-have. Use this all the time. And the Schmincke one is absolutely beautiful. Perylene maroon, we just swatched it. As you can see, very little dulling on the Perylene maroon, which is nice, unusual for Perylene. The Schmincke Perylene colours really just are the best. Transparent orange, I think that this is everybody's favourite PO71 transparent pyrrole orange. The Schmincke one just can't be beaten. Oh, oops, skipped one. Geranium red, PR242, just swatched it. Absolutely love that bright red. Like the mass tone is just so appealing to me. Turner's yellow, so into the yellows now. So I wanted to include this Turner's yellow because it surprised me so much. I really, really love it. I want to experiment with it some more. The pure yellow, benzimidazoline yellow, PY154. And then the nickel titanate yellow, which was, I wasn't sure whether I was going to include this in a pan or a tube, and decided on the tube form in the end. So that's the layout sort of around the edge of this palette that I'm going for. And now I'll show you the initial layout of my plans for these in the middle. So in the middle of this palette, I can fit 12 and 12 in 4 rows of 3, I think. Anyway, so the colours I think I'm going to include are buff titanium and nickel laser yellow, never leave home without it. Deep green gold, so those will go on one side. Quinacridone scarlet, my favourite red. Aquarius red, subject to change, but I wanted to have like a more true red in there because the quinacridone scarlet is a little bit muted in mixes. Permanent alizarin crimson is my cool red. These all look quite similar to each other, but I promise that they have very different properties. And then we have quinacridone gold, which I wasn't sure where to put it. You'll see what I mean. It's going here for now. Just give it some space. Mummy transparent red, transparent brown, and transparent oxide brown for my cooler brown. So this is for one side of the palette, and then on the other side I want to sort of continue over. So this will go like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So this sort of leads quite nicely as a branch point into the greens. We've got autumn green, Hooker's green. I showed you this in my green mixing video as well. Aquarius green, lovely muted separating green. Yeah, so this oxide brown would technically be on another row, but you've seen it, so you know it's there. Transparent turquoise. So this is the mixture of PG7 and PB15:3, so it's just like a phthalo turquoise, but a mixture, not a pure single pigment. The cobalt teal, the Roman Szmal cobalt teal, is the greener version. They also have cobalt sea blue, which is bluer, but I decided that this would be potentially more useful. I have a lavender and cobalt blue, because I don't have a regular cobalt blue and I don't use this enough. And the French ultramarine, which is my favorite version of ultramarine. Yeah, nothing else has compared to it so far. And then finally, I'm just going to move these up a little bit. I have the Misty Morning Shadow Grey, so this will act as like a dark neutral tint. And Aquarius Grey, which is the grey version of Buff Titanium. Okay, so as you can see, this is the projected layout for my the colours I want to include in my in the pans section of my new Ultimate palette, and you can see that there are some gaps that I've left. I left a couple of gaps here for other earth tones or anything else that I want to include. Might want to include the Aquarius orange, haven't decided yet, and then at least one gap over here as well. So yeah, we can play around with the blues that I want to include. However, I'm less worried about the pans, because the pans I'm just going to glue in with like blue tack. So I think that they'll be able to be moved around, but all of my favorites are here, colors I know I love mixing with. So yeah, I think what I'm going to do now is squeeze those tubes into this palette. I've been waiting so long to do this. So I'll do that mostly, probably partially on a time lapse, and give you some juicy footage of paint squeezing, and then I'll be back to show you the final thing at the end. So welcome to the part of the video where I was briefly showing you some footage of the process of getting all of the pans for my palette out of their separate palette boxes and into this final collection, which was more effort than I thought it might have been because I have my pans split over so many different palettes in the end, and that's partially why I wanted to make this sort of accumulated palette of all of my favourite colours. I realised I didn't formally explain how I chose the colours for this palette. I feel like there are so many YouTube videos about how to choose colours for a watercolour palette, and I didn't want to turn this into one of those as well because, frankly, I'm not as qualified as some of those other people who have discussed it before. But basically it was a combination of choosing colours that I like versus colours that I found useful. So yeah, as you can see, I'm almost done setting this up. Yeah, hope you enjoyed this process. So after all that, here is my new ultimate palette for now. I'm sure there will be updates in the future and I'll figure out what to put in these gaps. Thank you so much for coming with me on this journey. I would not have done this project if it was not for this channel and for all of you lovely people out there, whether you're just watching or leaving a comment or, you know, telling your friends. I just really appreciate all of your support, and I'm so looking forward to working with this palette. Let me know in the comments down below what you think of the colours that I chose today, and whether you were as excited about this as I was, if you have any palette tips yourself. And with that, I will see you in the next video. Thank you so much.